Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great deal of pleasure now to welcome the current senior coach, Peter Dean, to say a few words.
Thanks, Craig. That's a pretty hard act to follow, Woosha. You see why we all love you, mate. Your passion, absolutely sensational. Well done, mate. Really well said. Well, I'm actually going to read this. I'm not used to reading stuff, but I just didn't want to leave anything out, so I've written a few things down. Just first of all, I'd like to thank you all for coming, especially to our sponsors and special guests from the Council and the Northern Footy League, and most of all the Parkside people. It's great to see so many genuine people in one place. Look, I just also want to say how privileged I feel to be asked by Tom and the committee to speak on behalf of the 90s and the 2000s. It's something obviously very close to my heart, the club, and it's an absolute honour to be up here and have the chance to talk about my recollection of the last 18 years. I'll start with the 1990s. Look, it really was a decade of instability and inconsistencies. Club had 4 presidents over the time: Albie Bolger, Peter Sherlock, Kenny Allen and Kevin Clark. The same amount of senior coaches: Brucey Ferguson, Mark Ware, Laurie Zarafa, John Scully all filled the role at stages. It's also the time at the start of 1992 that we embarked on the renovation and extension of the social rooms. The project took up all the club's financial and physical resources. It was headed up by Paul Chubsy Meehan. We really should be forever grateful for the hard work put in for all people at the club at the time, as we're now able to enjoy the great facilities we have. This time also coincided with a plummet through the grades. In the space of 7 years, we'd gone from A grade to D grade in the amateurs. As disappointing as the slide was, the club never lost its pride and fought each game and each season out with typical Parkside Football Club spirit. Unfortunately, the talent just wasn't there. But again, the upside is the magnificent social rooms that we have at our disposal today. By the mid-90s, we began to rebuild our side, and in 1997, we picked up some very talented players, namely Brad Hockey, our senior captain at the moment, Blair Harvey, who started with us, has gone on to win 3 Premiership at Heidelberg Football Club as captain. After a slow start to the season, we made our first finals appearance since the famous grand final victory that put us into A grade. Unfortunately, it was a heartbreaking loss. We lost by a kick. Brad Hockey probably gets reminded of it every time. He'll probably be thinking about it now. 1998 was pretty much a similar story. We got beaten in the semis again. 1999 was a bit of a mixed year. We struggled to win a lot of games, but still managed to beat the 2 grand final sides that year. It's also the year young 17-year-old by the name of Robert Wise came from running the boundary the year before to win his first of 5 best and fairest at the club. Sensational effort. This decade saw 8 winners of the best and fairest, now known as the Kevin Clark Award. Nino Vincitorio, Leo Panjari won 2, Kenny Allen, Frank Sansonetti won 2, Lee McNamara, Brad Hockey, Daniel McCall and of course Robbie. Great players of the era. I feel so fortunate to play with this bloke. He was the heart and soul of the footy club, the side at the time, Frank Sansonetti. Many believe he's the best Parkside footballer ever. Also had Leo Panjari, Lee Diggers McNamara, and of course the mercurial Mark Sturgis, who finished his career in the 90s. Also the beginning of some brilliant careers at the club. President Skipper, as I spoke about, Brad Hockey, Blair Harvey, Robbie Wise and Daniel McCall. On to this decade. Well, the club really has been through some big changes. None bigger or more important than our move to the then Diamond Valley, now Northern Footy League. First 3 years of the 2000s, we spent in the amateurs. We had some success making the finals in 2000 and 2001. 2002 was a really poor year for the club, both on and off the field. With the club finding hard to recruit and probably just as importantly, just to try and retain players, many believed a change of competition would be for the best. This decision definitely wasn't made lightly. After weighing up all the pros and cons, the members voted overwhelmingly to apply to the then Diamond Valley in October of 2002. We were accepted and introduced for the start of the 2003 season. First few years at our new home, the team was extremely competitive, but just fell short of making the finals in all 3 years. 2006, however, was a horrible year for the club. We won just 3 games, 2 of which were against Fortnum Park, who folded at the end of the year. It's also the year the club's ailing financial situation really caught up with us. Only a handful of people really know exactly how close we were to closing the doors. If you have a chat to Tommy or myself, a few other people, it was unbelievably close. It was probably within days of happening. Really was dire times for the club. Tough decisions had to be made as to whether we had enough people with enough passion, desire and drive to turn the club around. As the saying goes, hard times make for hard people, or probably more fittingly, as Jack King would say, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. We needed someone to steer us out. This is where Tom Gard stepped into the driver's seat and reignited everyone's passion for the club. He only took on volunteers with the same ethos and drive as him and formed a small but undoubtedly hard-working committee that has seen the club climb from deep into the red to the black. We like to think at the end of 2006 we drew the all-famous line in the sand both on and off the field. 2007 saw us take the field with a renewed vigour and appreciation for the club, just missing the finals but having some memorable wins, none better than the one against the eventual Premiers Laylaw. This decade has seen some truly loyal and great players. Present captain Brad Hockey, who in my opinion is the best I've seen at the club. That'll make up for not mentioning yesterday, mate, anyway. Darren Gresham, Shannon Ware, Daniel McCall. Also saw the retirements of 2 of our great stalwarts and captains of the club, Dean Sputter Moody and Jamie Chilcott. Presidents of the decade have been Glenn Dunbabin, Laurie Zarafa, Anthony Romano and Tommy Gard. Senior coaches include Laurie Zarafa, Mark Rowe, Ken Johansson and now myself. Best and fairest winners, Robbie Wise has won 4 of his 5 this decade, Brad Hockey 3 of his 4, and also Darren Gresham won 1. This year in the future is looking up for the club. Many thanks must go to all our sponsors, Markwood Forge, the Sansonettis, also Northern Gas, the Romanos, and last but certainly not least, our major sponsor Fusion, Murray and the crew. Look, from me, a personal thanks especially to Murray for all your help and advice and guidance just throughout the years. You really have been sensational to me, mate. I appreciate it. Now I'd also like to thank the club and 75th Anniversary Committee for putting together this day. It's so important for the development of my present playing group to see the rich history of our great club, and an experience like today will make the honour of pulling on our magnificent red jumper with the white PFC even more honourable and special to them every Saturday. Also hope today has reignited the passion in all past players, members and supporters. We hope to see you down at the club more often to build on our supporter base. I really hope you all enjoy your day and look forward to speaking with you as many as possible. Go the Devils.
Well done, Peter.